All right, what's up, guys? Rob Satch and Feedback Wrench. I'm here with Mike and Steve Henslin of Ground Tech. There's some contractors, excavating contractors here in Minnesota. If you're an accountant, a bookkeeper, a tax professional, we're going to talk about how do you serve contractors, because that's one of the biggest areas that accountants can get into. Entropy itself means there's a lot of you guys. So I just want to ask you a bunch of questions here.
Yep.
I don't need to show my face because you guys are really, so real quick, tell us what do we got going on here? Introduce this job, where are we, and what is going on?
So we're in Rosemont, Minnesota. We're backfilling a townhouse for a national home builder. We work with national home builders to dig and backfill their homes throughout the state of Minnesota.
Go grab your spot over there. Talk to this camera.
Okay.
All right, so you're digging. This is a big old townhome. There's a lot of development going on here. You guys have, man, I kind of like, we got 5 pieces of equipment.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about what the volume of work and what kind of work are you doing? You said you did 500 some odd?
Last year we did about 500 homes, and our goal is to get up to about 1,500 homes.
So you dug 500 basements, and you have a goal of digging 1,500 basements for major builders, national builders. What kind of builders do you serve?
Large home builders, national home builders, and then large custom home builders.
And as you see, you guys keep talking here. As you see here, you guys got a couple of things going on.
Yep. We've got the guys on the site. What they're doing right now is they're completing a backfill. They're going to get the equipment on the trailer, and they're going to get it to the next job site.
So what's all involved in your business? It doesn't sound like you're just a real estate agent or something like that. You're not just a simple service business. Talk to us from an accountant's perspective, a tax professional's perspective, bookkeeping and all that nonsense. Help us understand, what are the moving pieces in your business from equipment to people? Like, what does that actually look like? Because I want to equip you accountants, guys. I want to show you how to help these folks. So, because this is where all the opportunity is. This is where you move from being just a simple tax guy that works with service businesses to really serving your communities as some successful businesses. But talk to us about all the moving parts in your operations, your business, your bookkeeping, and your taxes and stuff.
So our business, I guess the things that are taxable and important to the accountant, right? The things that matter to us are payroll. That's kind of a major thing that we have to pay attention to, and a service that we need. The equipment is a whole nother piece of the service that we do, and something for accountants that's, I guess, relevant for you is depreciation schedules and AM schedules. When we buy this amortization schedule, how long are we going to run this thing for? So if we're going to take a loan out for 7 years and depreciate for 5, or if we're going to try to rapid depreciate at the end of the year to improve our tax profile, some of that stuff is important to a small business and stuff that we didn't know about when we first started.
So managing this tension between when you're buying equipment, how quickly you depreciate it against your amortization, when do payments add on equipment, when do they finally get depreciated fully, that's all stuff that's really important to you when you're looking for an accountant. What kind of software do you guys use for bookkeeping and everything?
So we're using QuickBooks for our bookkeeping, and it's pretty quick and simple.
The desktop version or the online version?
Desktop.
Desktop version.
Yep.
What prevents you from going to the QuickBooks online?
Because we did a little out of the can programming, and we access the file that's on the server. So essentially we're dumping our QuickBooks data and externalizing that database and then using it on our own.
That's cool. That's cool. Okay, so when I'm working with people, I'm always telling them they should really serve as a value-added accountant that's helping them do proactive tax planning. They're helping them make decisions on when you buy equipment, how do you finance it, how do you depreciate it, that you're helping build tax-efficient wealth too. When it comes to tax planning, I'd imagine you guys have some complexity going on here. What are some things you've learned in tax planning, or what's valuable to you, or what were you going to say there?
You know, that is one thing that we feel like it's taken up to 15 years to learn about on a year-to-year basis is our tax planning. One thing that we feel is very important is connecting with an accountant that does what is right for your books. We've had an accountant that has done some bad stuff, and then we got associated with an accountant that got us right-sided and works with us. And then we also work with somebody that helps us out with our taxes. One thing that we always say with our accounting and our banking is we want to be the most bankable company we possibly can. And it seems like it can be one of the biggest challenges, because accountants are trying to make you the most tax efficient and bankers want to make you the most loanable, and there is a little bit of a difference between what they do to get you there, or for their individual goals.
And why is bankability important for you guys?
Money is like blood in business, right? And
Especially you guys.
Yeah, we know dirt, right? And the accountants know money and they know taxes better than we know money and taxes. And so it's just really relevant for a good accountant to guide us dirt workers in the world of money and taxes.
Okay, so one of the challenges is how many conversations are you having? How much are they doing for you versus your staff doing? What's the mix of in-house staff doing books and accounts receivable and payable versus the bookkeeping service or a payroll service or a tax service? What have you learned is valuable or important to you, or what have you chose to do in your business?
So 20 to 40 employees in this business. We're using an outside payroll service. We find that just quicker and simpler. We don't have to know the payroll laws and all the loopholes. At our size, that's the way we think it should go. As you get bigger, you can bring that stuff in-house. As there's more time involved in payroll and working with the employees, you can bring that in-house. But for a small business, it's just easy to have that service outsourced. When it comes to accounting, we have an in-house controller, and she keeps everything nice and in order. And then at the end of the year, we use our accountant to come through and fix some errors, issues, things that we don't understand, and then also go through the books and make them essentially good for the bank and good for the tax man, really.
That's interesting. So, go ahead.
We've learned our ability, our accounting over the last 15 years, and we're only as good as what we're told. Now, we've been audited twice, and so we've refined our process very, very tightly now because we've had some very nasty or very negative audits. So we've learned through those audits of how to control our books, what gets taxed, what doesn't get taxed, and then how
what triggered the audit? Are you guys aware of the things that might have triggered the audit?
Random state sales tax audit.
Random state
just at random, they'll draw from the bucket, right, and they'll pick a contractor and they'll go through your books and they'll say, did you submit the correct amount of taxes? Whether that's buying a piece of equipment from Florida, and then the state comes back and they go, well, you bought that in Florida, but you didn't pay, they may not have a sales tax that you needed to pay, but we're going to make you pay that in Minnesota because you brought that back from Minnesota.
Wow, so that's a suspicious little thing you don't think of. You buy equipment somewhere else, and then when you bring it here, you're supposed to be, there may be taxes due on that.
Bought a piece of equipment in Wisconsin, and the sales taxes in Wisconsin were lower than Minnesota, so what they said is, okay, well, you paid X, let's just say you paid 3.5% or 4% in Wisconsin, and then we're going to take our 7.5% minus that 3.5%, and you owe us the difference.
My God.
Every receipt comes into the office, so you can buy a shovel up in Rogers, Minnesota, and if our business is run out of St. Paul, Minnesota, there's a difference in taxes, and so Rogers does not know you're running your business out of St. Paul, so they didn't tax you at the correct rate. Technically, you're supposed to pay that St. Paul tax, so we will self-report the tax on that individual shovel.
So obviously, as you get bigger, the state salivates to come in and shake you down, because naturally they've added a lot of value into your life, right?
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
sorry, I'm so... the thought that a state thinks they should do that drives me up the wall. But man,
it was adversarial in the very beginning, and it's very tough to go through a sales tax audit. I mean, Mike and I pretty much had to walk out of the room in a sales tax audit. But now we believe, because the systems that we've built and because the type of company that we're running, that we're really accurate on the sales tax that we're reporting. So we believe that we're ready for the next audit when it comes.
So when it comes to tax planning, tax reduction, I always think it's interesting. You mentioned bankability and managing taxes and processes are the most important things. We just got done talking about your business as well, that productivity, uptime, and not having to waste your time and your staff's time is super valuable. In fact, that's usually more valuable than purchase price on a machine, and it's more valuable whatever you're interacting with people, right? What have you learned in terms of like your year-end financing, closing out the books, getting ready for the bankers, doing your tax returns? How does an accountant and a tax firm make your life better at the end of the year, which we're all gearing up for now because it's January and we're getting ready to do 2022 stuff?
Well, at the end of the year, how they make it easier is that they come in and they kind of parse through everything that we've done throughout the year, and they run a comb through it essentially and straighten everything out. We're not perfect, and we don't understand what they understand. We try to get most of it, let's say 90-95%. With that being said, our accountant comes through and ends up cleaning up what we've done all year long. We've gotten to a point where we're getting ahead of the curve, and we try to do this stuff proactively instead of reactively. You know, back in the day, you used to come to the accountant and you go, here's my stuff, help me figure it out, right? And we're at the back end of the year, at the start of the new year here, 2023, and we're going to be talking to our accountant and saying, hey, let's go back through 2022, clean everything up so we're ready to do taxes.
That's interesting. What do you guys budget for accounting, payroll, taxes? Like, how much do you expect to pay for an accountant when
you
you're
want
doing
it real? You want it
real? I want to know real. These accountants want to actually know.
It's completely secondary to all other costs. The cost, when you look at the cost of accounting against your revenue, it's extremely minuscule. So whether it's $3,000, $3,500, or $6,500, it doesn't really move the needle. So there's a lot of room for the accountants to get in a small business and make some money.
So now I got a question. I'm always teaching these guys. I believe in this outsourced accountant model, but not necessarily for guys at your size with this complexity. I don't always know if that works. I teach people that they'd come alongside you and do your bookkeeping for you. That they'd come alongside and help you with your payroll. That throughout the year they'd be helping you pay in taxes so you don't get behind, and that they would then do your year-end taxes and close everything out and do it as an outsourced model. And I teach guys that they can charge between $250 a month and doggone $1,500 a month, depending on what they're doing, because they're a staff alternative. Honestly, like, you don't have to make me feel good. What reaction do you have to that from your perspective? If somebody were to approach you?
At our size, it wouldn't be impossible that you do something like that. I mean, if somebody approached us when we had 2 or 3 or 4 employees, that would have been something if they had a solution to our problem back then. It wouldn't have been impossible that we moved in that direction. What we did is reacted to sales tax audits that were wrong. We reacted to payroll reporting that was incorrect. So what we did is went and found an accountant locally that was able to get us out of our pinch, and then we reacted by hiring somebody in-house. Gotcha. If somebody would have came to us with a solution to a third party or externalize it, we would have probably done something like that.
Yeah, I would agree. For a small business, it's extremely relevant. The tax man, the accountant, whatever, I keep saying tax guy, but the accountant, you guys know the books, you know what's right, you know what's wrong, you know liabilities, long-term liabilities, you know where you should bucket things right, and the small business doesn't know that. And for an accounting firm to come along and help a small business grow their structure, it would be a really good thing. So in terms of cost, of what that could cost per year, I mean, if you have a full-time person doing the books, in-house, that could cost you $52,000, $55,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, health insurance and all that stuff. And you might not, as a small business, necessarily need that. So for an accountant to meet a small business at that time of need would be very relevant, and the cost, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month is not that high of a burden.
So one of the things, I don't think it's a hard reach at all, because I understand hiring people is a pain in the ass. Yep. It's not that easy. Not only that, there's a dynamic when you have a subcontractor or an outsourced accountant. You can leave. I want to make sure that you stay with me. There's kind of a thing that goes on there. But you mentioned something, Steve, where timing. So you said if they would have gotten us when we had 2 or 3 employees, timing is really important in the scaling of a business. And this is what I coach in my little program, in my curriculum that I have, $500 course. And this is what, when you do a website with us, a Feedback Wrench, and you're an accountant, I'm always trying to say, for you to get customers, timing is critical. Yep. Timing in the growth and evolution of their business, because when you're dreaming, then you have no money, you don't have that many stakes. But when you start building a team, and then you get to a point where you guys are, where you have 40, 50 employees, it's almost like it's too late. There's a sweet spot where you can intersect with a small business, and it's usually when they got a team of 3 to 10, something like that, because now you value $2,500 a month is a heck of a lot easier than $6,000 a month or $4,000 a month, plus SE tax, plus you have to lead and manage and develop them, and then they get sick and they get pregnant and they get all of these things that go into an employee. Nothing wrong with any of that. It happens. Our people are our biggest asset, genuinely. But sometimes this outsourced accounting. So if a firm came along, you got a nice accounting firm, you guys would be attracted to that. But how, like very honestly, if you think back to where you were, how the heck would an accountant attract you and close you? Like, to me, do you take phone calls? Like, how would someone come and get you?
At that point in time, we would have taken a phone call. I mean, right now, if you call us for the right situation, we take the phone call. So ultimately, I mean, today I would pick up the phone for a cold call. I mean, over the last year, I've taken cold calls on asset tracking. I haven't landed on the right type of asset tracker, but we've taken many phone calls and we've heard many people out about asset tracking. So ultimately, we take cold calls.
So you take a cold call. Now, I think what's interesting is I take cold calls too. Right now, what's happening, it's like everybody just wants to be lazy. Do you fill out Facebook lead magnets for this stuff? Maybe you do, maybe you don't.
I don't know.
I don't.
No, when we need something, we'll search it out. I mean, honestly, over the last 3 weeks, we went and searched out the employee tax credit, and we found we found an organization that can help us out with the employee tax credit. And frankly, that's something that we've heard about and we were recommended to do, and so we went and sought it out. If somebody had called us at the right point in time, we would have went with them probably.
See, and I think that's fantastic. So folks, cold calling is a good thing. You call someone, hey, so if you were to get a call like this, hey, how you doing? It's Rob. My name's Rob. I got a little accounting firm down the road. I saw your truck.
Yeah.
We do proactive tax planning. We do bookkeeping. We do accounting. Would you be down to connect? Could I do an analysis for you? Is that a good approach, or is that kind of weird? Like,
that approach is just fine. I mean, ultimately, you'll probably have 99 people say no, but the way we got this customer was through a cold call. So we do cold calling and we receive cold calls, and if that person at that point in time needs the service,
yep,
the cold call works.
Folks, I'm telling you, you're an accountant, you're super awkward, like you don't want to call. That's why you're an accountant, you're not a salesperson. But if you put in the time to make 10 calls a day and you just approach people wisely, you don't slime them, you don't trick them, you don't do any of that,
yep,
it works.
Yep.
Good luck, God bless. If you need an accounting website, feedbackwrench.com will set you up. We'll show you how to get customers too. Take care.
Boom. Boom.